With Forza Motorsport 7 removing their loot boxes, they now add to a growing list of video games that are getting rid of loot boxes, basically because of the toxicity of that term since it's been introduced into video games overall. Obviously, we saw Battlefront 2 do it. We've seen Middle-earth do it. So, Swanee, the question is, with the growing number of video games getting rid of loot boxes, are loot boxes dead now? Have the video game world won? Did they beat out loot boxes?
I think this is a step in the right direction, definitely for gamers. I mean, we, as a whole, like gamers, have voiced that we don't like loot boxes. It's been a controversy. It's been brought up by the government. Hawaii tried to ban it. Other countries have tried to ban it. And you have companies like EA that still defend it because it's just all about money, money, money. And then I think more and more of these game companies are realizing, loot boxes are, they're pretty negative. And if people hear loot boxes are in a game, that's a pretty big turnoff for whatever game it is. Mm-hmm. So the fact that people are going out of their way to remove loot boxes, like with Forza 7, they weren't even like pay to win loot boxes. They were just like, you just had to grind to get the loot boxes. And Battlefront got rid of the pay to win aspect for loot boxes, and then it was just grind to unlock loot boxes, and then they completely got rid of loot boxes. So the fact that all these games are just completely getting away from loot boxes in general, I think is a great sign, because hopefully this is just a step in the right direction and we don't ever see them again. So yes, I think this might be the death of loot boxes.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with you, because definitely as far as that term is concerned, it's a toxic term, and all video games want to stay away from it now, because luckily, and the communities of video games in general and the internet have turned that term into toxicity, basically. So if that term's associated with your game's in trouble at this point. So, yeah, I kind of agree. Anything that resembles a loot box to that extent has got to go, and I think that it's maybe killed off the entire idea of these semi-gambling type things where you're paying something to get something and you don't know what you're getting. That idea might be going away. Now, that being said, they will still make their money in other ways. This is certainly not the death of microtransactions. Don't be foolish thinking that. But the idea of gambling or things that resemble gambling in video games, that could be going by the wayside. Because there's no way video games, even if they win, which they have in most countries, won the idea of being allowed to do loot boxes, still all the bad press basically means they lose anyway. So even if they win on the legal level, they don't win on the PR level. So I think loot boxes in general are going to be gone, and anything that resembles that type of gambling I think is going to go away with it. But they're going to find different ways to compensate instead, and what those are going to be, that might vary. I think they'll go back to general, obviously cosmetic stuff. A lot of things are going to go the Fortnite way because that's an extremely successful video game. So they will find ways to make money, but hopefully it'll be in better ways than something that resembles gambling like a loot box.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm okay with games go with like the Fortnite way, where the game's free and then you just pay for cosmetics. Mm-hmm. If the game is set up the right way. That doesn't mean I want nothing but Battle Royale games. I want a good, solid base game. And what scares me is if games or companies like EA try to follow the Fortnite model, they're going to make the base model just absolute crap. And then hope that people just spew out money. And then they will try to upgrade it over time. So I think games are going to become more and more unfinished at launch.
That's possible.
And then they'll all stay in beta, so that way they can upload have patches whenever they want. So I don't know if it's a double-edged sword, but yeah, they're definitely going to try to nickel and dime you some way, shape, or form. But it was getting pretty scary with the loot boxes, and the worst and example of this in my opinion was Shadow of War, because it was in the story mode. It was a single player game and you couldn't play it offline, which is pretty weird for single player. You have to be online so that it was tied in with loot boxes. And then so many people were enraged by that they got rid of that within a few months. And I mean, that's pretty scary territory when you get the single player stuff and you make that pay to win. I mean, it's single player. You should be able to do whatever you want. You should be able to mod it. You should be able to customize it, do whatever you want because it's not online. So, yeah, I am so relieved that they're getting rid of loot boxes. I couldn't stand them with a passion.
Yeah, my only concern is, are they going to find something even cheaper and dirtier? I mean, I'm okay with the cosmetic route, but the problem I would have with that is, like, Fortnite's free and then everything's cosmetic, which is fine because Fortnite, still at its base, there's not much to the game. It's still one map. It's still one thing you're doing. They keep adding tons of random crap to the map, and that's great and all, but you know, that game still doesn't constitute being worth a $60 base game, although people certainly would pay it now, some people. It does not constitute that kind of price tag. What I'm worried about is these AAAs like EA or Ubisoft or any of these big-time video game companies putting out a game at $60 and then unloading a crap ton of cosmetics. Now, that's still okay with me if the game is worth $60 without anything else. Like, if that game is a $60 game by itself, fine. Unload 2 billion cosmetics. And if you put in the work to put in as many cosmetics as Fortnite puts in and stuff, then you deserve to make that extra money. And that's fine by me. As long as the base game is fully playable within itself without having to be like, well, if I don't spend some money, this game's not really worth it at the moment. Because I don't want EA doing kind of what they're currently doing with Battlefront 2, which is not releasing content except for cosmetics. Like, you still need to have the base game, base game content. And that's what I'd be worried about them doing, saying, oh man, we can give them practically no content like Fortnite and then just throw out cosmetics. But Fortnite was free. So it's okay with Fortnite.
Yeah.
Don't do that crap with a $60 game, or that's not going to fly. Or I hope it doesn't fly.
Yeah, and a good example, in my opinion, with cosmetics and with microtransactions in general, was Assassin's Creed Origins. Because I felt like it was a $60 game. Like, it had tons of content. It had hours and hours of single-player stuff. And all of the microtransactions, like the cosmetics you can get, outside of DLC, like there's a season pass, but all the cosmetics and stuff, you could earn in-game. But if you wanted to unlock them faster, then you could spend real money. So, like, I bought some cosmetics. I was like, well, I could grind, but I'm having so much fun playing this game. I'm like, yeah, I'll spend $5-10. That way it shows my support. Because I'm all for supporting the game company. If they make a game that I really, really enjoy, then I'll spend extra money just to go out of my way to show my support. But if it's a $60 game and it's completely obvious that they're just trying to squeeze all the money they can out of you, like Battlefront was at launch, then that's not how you do it. And that reflects on gamers, and gamers aren't going to stand for it like they did with Battlefront. So, I mean, I think this is a huge step in the right direction, but, I mean, it's only a matter of time before they have their top dogs sitting there at the office like, how can we squeeze out some extra money?
And part of the problem, or part of the reason loot boxes even gained so much traction, was because they were so successful on Overwatch, which was one of the first ones to really implement it very successfully. But all these other companies tried to do it, and then everybody kept pushing the envelope further and further to the point that it was just wrong. I mean, Battlefront was the one that broke it. When that came out, it was like that started the complete decline of loot boxes and all the legal battles and all that good stuff. I think that it'll be interesting to see what EA and DICE do with Battlefield 5, because the same company's working on this, and of course they've made a big deal out of not doing loot boxes for that game. I'll be very curious to see what they do with that game, like, because whatever they're doing with that game, because other game companies follow wherever the success is, and right now it's so overwhelmingly obvious all the success is in Fortnite. So everybody's going to be trying to some extent copy what Fortnite is doing, and it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm only worried that they're going to push the cosmetics so hard that they forget about the base game. And we'll see if Battlefield 5 or some of these other games that are coming out, if they all push the envelope of our cosmetics look amazing, but the game itself isn't worth the $60 price tag, I'm concerned about that happening in the future, especially from a company like EA. I hope that hasn't happened to Battlefield 5, but that I could definitely see something like that happening.
That, and if all these companies take this, because it's a gamble to go free to play, and they're basically counting on nothing but cosmetics and stuff. Well, if nobody buys the cosmetics, then they're going to give up on the game. Just look at Battlefront 2. The developers don't do anything with that game.
Oh, look at Mass
It's
Effect Andromeda.
really pathetic. They
totally gave
Mass
up
Effect
on
Andromeda. There was not any DLC for that game. They completely gave up. So if they have a free-to-play game and it bombs, you're not going to get anything. They're not going to put in the time and effort to do updates and stuff to a new game if nobody's interested in it. So I don't know. That's a huge gamble to follow in Fortnite steps, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously Battlefield 5 won't be free, but we'll see. I know they're talking about a Battle Royale game they want to make free in the future, so we'll see how that works out for EA and stuff. But we'll just have to see. But I think overall it's a great sign that loot boxes are going by the wayside, and hopefully they learn from this mistake. I'm not just talking about EA, just companies in general in video games. But I'm not holding out hope on that. So let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is this the end of loot boxes? Do you think they're going to continue? Do you think they're dead but something worse is coming? Let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on this topic. Of course, smash that like button. As always, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And we will talk to you guys in the next video.
Goopa noopa. Yep, yep.